So everyone knows what psychology is, more specifically trading psychology. And again, we all know that it plays a really crucial role in our overall success as traders. But I think the reason majority of traders still fail is because everyone gets caught up in the definitions and, not enough around how to actually apply this or implement it on a daily basis. So for example, we can define fear and greed and euphoria and all these limiting, beliefs and traits that hold us back. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we know what, the ideal trader is, that we should think in probabilities or be neutral. And in this video, I'm going to specifically focus on bridging the gap between having the awareness and how we behave as, traders right now, and, that ideal trader that, we all want to embody, which will lead to consistent profitability. My name is Samkelo Mfeka. This is The Modern Day Trader. And on this channel, we're helping traders level up by sharing our own transparent journeys. And I'd really appreciate it if you could help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers by clicking on that subscribe button right now. So I'm going to take you through 3 steps, which, if done intentionally and consistently, because that's always a catch, like you have to do the work and you have to do the work long enough, will lead to drastically improving your trading in a short space of time. So step 1, you have to develop, the awareness of your mental state, your emotions, and your behaviors. What you cannot measure, you cannot improve. And the same goes for our mind and our emotional state. Now, I've done quite a few videos on journaling, and not just on, trades taken, but the entire process behind, that final decision. So the analysis, the execution, management, and, post-trade. And, that'll pop up somewhere on the screen. So make sure you check that out, because that is your foundation that you need to be doing for a long enough period of time to then develop the data that's going to give you that awareness of, how you're behaving and, why you're behaving in a certain way, and the real driver behind a lot of your decisions. Step 2 is where you need to be honest with, yourself around what's actually not working and, why, it's not working. So from my own journaling, I discovered that, my processes were extremely thorough, and I was doing everything pre and post trade that helped me collect all the relevant data. And so I was doing the right work. The issue that, I discovered through then building all this data and having a lot of examples and journaling notes and all of that to go through is that I recognized that FOMO and euphoria were creeping into my decision making. So for example, in the morning, I'm analyzing position for London session, and I'm recording all the right things. But as I'm recording this, for example, it's a really good position that's lining up, but it's not quite ready yet. Let's say it will be ready throughout the course of the day. Part of me got really excited when analyzing and journaling this position, and that euphoria of, geez, if I take this trade that I see is going to play out and it actually does play out that way, then that's a good, 3 to 4%, which again is reasonable. So I'm not being reasonable in what I'm thinking about, but it's more about, this initial emotion that comes up when I'm thinking about this. And I start thinking about, the payout that I can get from this, and, what will I do with that payout? And, that's fine. That's an emotion. It's natural. You can't stop that from happening. So, but it's the awareness of, okay, this is happening. And what I then found was what this would translate into, or what it would materialize as, is this fear now at execution, in that analyzing a position is one thing, but then following through and taking that trade as per the plan, obviously in the best possible way you can, is a whole different step of the process that, sometimes has nothing to do with the initial analysis. And so I was bringing a lot of this fear into the execution stage of, my trading, and that would, materialize as premature entries. So FOMO, fear of missing out, and then subsequently rushing a position to then result in taking 2-3 losses before the actual position that goes. And instead of closing out, 3%, you now actually only net, 1.5 or 1% on the same position because you've taken all these losses. And that's if you even take the winning position instead of just the losses before that. And so a big part of step 2, once you've recognized what the limiting behaviors are and having an understanding that all behavior to some extent is rooted in your own internal belief system. You need to then get very clear with what your own internal belief system is and how said belief prompted the behaviors which are then leading to this undesirable outcome. Now, if we go back to that same example, I mentioned that it was FOMO and euphoria primarily that were limiting, the outcome in my own trading. And so it was going back to why was I feeling that way? And when I looked closer, it had a lot to do with the image that I personally held of a successful trader. And I guess the image that I held of success. Initially, what came to mind was, someone who dressed very well, drove a nice car, was very confident, was very, intelligent, lived in a luxury property. All these things that, to be honest, aren't really true indicators of success. I think our programming and social media and whatever else has almost distorted how we define these things. And so that is what I associated of success. It then almost creates this false perception of what something might be. And I think that also goes back a bit to getting clear on, what success is, what your why is, what all these things are. When you haven't clearly defined it for yourself, you might not even realize that you are already living the definition of what you think success is in one way or another. And, what we rarely see as a highlight reel on social media isn't a true interpretation of the actual thing. And so, whenever I made a mistake or wasn't feeling so good, like on a particular day, that would dissociate, myself from this definition of a successful trader, where successful people do have off days. Successful people, don't have all the shiny things. And it was more gaining that awareness and understanding that and understanding, how I am programmed and what mental images, I currently hold that were distorting, I guess, this end goal that I have. And then subsequently making me feel like certain actions I was taking or, things that I was doing wasn't leading me towards this outcome. As a side effect of that, then bringing up, these emotions, euphoria, fear, whatever it is during my analysis. It was a whole combination of those. And I guess that's what you ultimately try to get to the bottom of. What are the things you're doing that are holding you back? And why are you doing those things? And I can't tell you that. That's a process you have to go through, which is where a lot of the time and I think work in this whole process actually goes into. Step 3 is actively reprogramming your own self-image or belief system. And I think videos like this can give you awareness around certain things that are working and what's not working. But if you want tangible change, there are certain things you just have to do on a daily basis. The first obviously being what I explained. And the next, this daily affirmation practice, which I want to share with you, which is what I currently do at the moment and have been doing consistently for the past 2 years. And I think is a big reason why I've achieved a lot of the things I have in that time. But before I read that to you, I think there's a few tips that you need to take into consideration as you craft your own. The first being that the statement needs to be rooted in whatever your current goals are and whatever it is that you're currently working towards. So you need to first start with getting clear on this, which could take a couple of days, could take a couple of hours, it depends on you. And then again, spending a couple of hours or a couple of days on the actual statement itself, because the first draft probably won't be a loss. Now, don't write too much because it's not meant to be a speech. So 2 to 4 minutes will probably be fine because you need to maintain clear focus as you speak and affirm these words. And if you make it too long, then you'll realize that your focus starts drifting to other things as you're speaking these words, and then it really takes away from the purpose of the practice. And finally, the statement needs to be written as if you've already achieved whatever the goal is, or you are already the type of person who has these particular traits, because that's going to unlock a lot of the emotion, which is the key behind a lot of these exercises. It's feeling that you are that type of individual, or you are at least capable of becoming the type of individual that you're speaking about. So this is my statement, and it's titled My Life in 2025. Last year in 2024 was something different, and the statement was completely different. It honestly changes every 8 to 12 months. But the statement goes like this: I love my life. I have everything I need. I'm abundantly blessed with love, wealth, pristine health, opportunity, and growth in all aspects of my life. My development as a consistently profitable trader is my number one priority. I'm a funded trader managing 6 figures in profit and capital, and the commitment I've made to my craft allows me to withdraw thousands of dollars every single month. I'm a man of my word and have remained consistent in creating daily nuggets every single day. This has not only allowed me to continuously break barriers, but has created a meaningful and significant impact in the South African trading community for many others who are on their journey. Tara and I are dedicated to building our dream reality together. This allows us the freedom to do work which we love. Through this work, we have moved into a stunning, spacious home and gardens. Our home has magnificent mountain views and soft sunlight which pours in each day. Financial freedom and security, to me, achieved through trading, is mental freedom from the fear of being unprepared for the harsh realities of life. Now, this is a beautiful life, and it always will be. However, anything can happen, and I am mentally, financially, and physically prepared to take care of my family. Today is a beautiful day, and my world will take care of me. Develop your own statement and read it every single day. First thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up, and last thing before you go to bed. You need to become the type of person that achieves the goals you've set out for yourself. And taking a practical approach to understanding and implementing, the principles and teachings of psychology is how you do this. Now, if I provided you with any value whatsoever, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. Help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. And let's not gatekeep. If you've got, those gens that you're pushing with, or, this close circle of, people that you lean in for inspiration or motivation or whatever, and you think they benefit from this, then share that with them. Remember, guys, consistency is the choice you make when you start doing the things you know you should be doing day in and day out.